Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. I'm a retired New York City police detective with 20 years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, please hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. This way you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. And tonight we're going to be talking about the missing person case of Gabby Petito. This is a case out of Blue Point, Long Island. This is where she grew up. She moved 2.5 years ago down to Northport, Florida, which is in Sarasota on the beautiful West Coast. She moved down there with her high school friend and sweetheart. They were engaged. Gabby sent many text messages to her mom. We're going to get into it along the way. She has her own YouTube channel. This is making national news headlines, and I got so many requests to cover this case, so we're going to get into it in a few minutes. I want to say a special thank you to my Patreon supporters, my channel members, and all of the folks who positively interact here in the live stream. And thank you to my replay viewers and everyone who supports this community. It's because of great folks like you that makes this place a great place to be. So thank you so much for joining. I know all of us are repulsed by this case. There's so many moving parts and there's so much confusion. Everybody is frustrated because of the Fifth Amendment right that her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, has invoked through an attorney. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this. I'm going to give you a quick little bit of media, and it will give you a basic timeline and synopsis. And then we'll go over and break down some of the legalities, some of the legal problems that are existing right now in this case that's stopping this from moving forward. But Gabby's family, her mom, Nicole, her stepdad, James, her father, Joe, they are all distraught right now because they don't know where their daughter is. And this is just a parent's nightmare. They went out on a road trip July 2nd from Long Island and drove across the United States in a converted 2012 Ford van that they customized. It was in her name and they drove across the country. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. I just want you guys to listen to a little bit of media. But I want to say thank you to Diane B., Jen Lowe, Sheila, my good friend from Ireland here in America, Angela. Thank you for joining. Tennessee Girl, Seattle True Crime. There's a bunch of people jumping in, and I greatly appreciate that. If you can, please share this video out with your social media platforms. I'm going to get right into this for you. This is for the folks who don't get news here in the United States. For all my outside the country folks, this is going to give you a background on what's going on. And this is Without a Trace, the disappearance of Gabby Petito.
This mystery now, the search for a missing New York woman intensifying. She disappeared during a cross-country road trip with her boyfriend. Now we're learning Utah police responded to an incident in the town of Moab with the couple involved 2 weeks before she vanished. Now, two members of Gabby's family join me now. Joe Petito, her father, is in Florida. Jim Schmidt, her stepfather, is in the state of Wyoming. And gentlemen, good morning to both of you. I want to begin with Jim there in Wyoming. Jim, I think you're in the area of Jackson. What are you looking for? What have you found so far, Jim?
Yes, that's correct. We came out to Wyoming yesterday. Really, our reason for being here is to just help law enforcement with any questions they may have. That's really our reason to be here. We have our family and friends in New York, where Gabby's originally from. She has her father and stepmom and family and friends down in Florida. So we feel we have those two areas covered, but we didn't have anybody out here. And we all just agreed that we felt we need somebody out here to just try to assist in any way we can to locate her.
Yeah, understood. Just so our viewers know, Jim, the reason you went to Jackson, Wyoming, that is reportedly the last time Gabby was seen. Do I have that right?
Yeah, one of her last text messages to her mom and conversations was that she was heading up to Grand Teton National Park area, and eventually onto Yellowstone was their plan.
Okay, Jim, hang on with me there in Wyoming. From Florida, Joe joins our conversation. Can you figure this out, Joe?
If I could figure it out, we'd have an answer. We know where to go, and we would be done. I wouldn't be on the line with you.
Yeah. How well did you know Brian Laundrie, the boyfriend?
Not as well. I mean, because I was living in New York and they were down in Florida, so not as well as I would like to. But there still weren't any red flags that would indicate we would be here today.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever talk to him?
I have. Down in April. Back in April, me and the family drove down to my uncle over in Naples, and Gabs and Brian met us. We drove up to Venice Beach. We dug through the sand for shark's teeth with the kids and Gabby and Brian. I've talked to them. We've came and visited them, but again, nothing to indicate what's going on today.
Yeah, understood. Were they engaged at one time, Joe, or not? Were they just boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, no, they were engaged. I know there's some confusion in it, but it's not like they were rushing to for weddings and stuff like that. That wasn't their main focus. They wanted to go out and enjoy their youth. Gabby always wanted to travel and see the amazing sights, and she's doing it. And
yeah,
that's awesome to see. You're doing it at 22 what people try to do at 65 when they retire. And so what she's doing is envious, and even I'm a little jealous of it. I was talking to Jim, yet last night, and Jim, you heard it. You said it. I got here, and I know your first instinct. I know why Gabby came here, because it is ridiculously beautiful. So
Joe, does it strike you that Brian has been so quiet so far? He put out a statement, but only through his lawyer.
That wasn't a statement. I'm sorry. That's not a statement. If that, what? That wasn't a statement. That was, I got to quell my emotions a little bit. You know what? Listen, forget Brian. Brian's home safe. All right. His parents, it's hard for them. Bullshit. Never mind. No, you know what? My daughter is not here. Our daughter is not here. We don't even know where she is, what state she's in. We're shooting from the hip here and trying to do what we can. So I don't care about the statement. I care about finding Gabby.
Yeah.
One of the things that I woke up to and really bothered me this morning was her Instagram is down. I don't know who took it down. If you guys can reach out to Instagram and put it back up, or at least get.
Just so you guys know, the Instagram was not taken down purposely. I think it was just a glitch, and then it's back up. But I concur 1000% with this. This is her biological father, Jim, who's over in Wyoming, who flew out there, is her mom's husband. So that's the stepdad, and he flew out there to be representative of representative of the family. So I'm with that 100%. That's the right thing to do. And my heart and my prayers and sending strength out to this family. They don't know where their daughter is. And they got this scumbag, Brian, holding out and just being a complete piece of human garbage. He needs to come forward and talk through his attorney, but he needs to tell the Northport police. We're going to listen to the police statement in a few minutes, and he needs to come forward and tell everybody where Gabby is. And as her dad here speaking, he referred to as Gabs. He needs to come forward.
The pictures out there as much as we can, because I'll tell you, at best case scenario, someone sees those pictures and memorizes her face and finds her, when they're hiking or driving or whatever. At worst case scenario, those are the pictures that I need for me to come for me, and I don't even have that right now. So No, I don't know where that is, but we got to get them back up so people can come
That's
around
a great
and
message,
memorize
Joe.
their face.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Just one more specific. Well, were they engaged as of 2 weeks ago or a month ago? What was their status?
Yeah, no, they've been engaged, and listen, they were together.
So they didn't break that engagement off then.
No, it just wasn't their main focus. They were, they were trying to enjoy their trip. They had no plans on anything. It was just that they wanted to be together. They loved each other. But all that stuff is great, and all that. But it's not helping us with the main focus now. We don't know where Gabby is.
Okay, so this is a good a good depiction of where they started out. And in the upper right corner here where my cursor is, they left Long Island, New York. Basically, this is the center of New York. Long Island is technically down here. So if you see where this red dot is, the media got it a little wrong here. That's up towards Niagara Falls in the northern part of New York where that red dot is. It should be right here, down right along the Atlantic Ocean. Long Island is right here. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but they left here and then went down straight across Colorado into Utah and then up into West Virginia, Wyoming, West Virginia, up into Wyoming. So this is a pretty good map. It's somewhat accurate and it gives you the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5.
All right, and I'm doing all this stuff so I can get her face out there, and I can't see what you guys are doing. I'm hoping you're plastering her face, the tip lines, while you're having this up, and if you're not, please do, because it's not me you need to look at. You need to look at Gabby, memorize her face, memorize the tattoos, memorize watch that video, get that, learn her mannerisms. So if she's walking down the street or if she's stuck in a trail or something, you know what she looks like, her mannerisms. That's Gabby. Here's my phone. Call your folks. They're looking for you.
Mm-hmm. Jim, one last question for you up there in Jackson. What do you do today? Who do you talk to? What are police telling you?
Well, right now, the police are doing everything they can, and that's all we can rely on right now is that all these law enforcement agencies are working together collectively, and they are doing their best to find out what happened, where she is, and as of right now, we got in late last night, so they're aware that we're here. Our hopes are that we can reach out to them today. We can speak to them in person and show that we are here. There is a presence here.
Okay.
And, what we're looking to do here is, I know there's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of people want to help. A lot of people want to get out there and do searches and stuff like that. That is not what we're looking to do right now. We're here to help law enforcement do what they do best. And that is to find Gabby. And that is all we want.
Okay, Jim Schmidt is Gabby's stepfather. He's gone to Jackson, Wyoming late last night. Jim, thank you. Joe Petito down there in Florida, Gabby's father. We're going to stay in touch with both of you gentlemen, okay? And thank you for sharing your story today. And Joe, I can assure you, we're putting the picture out there. We've got the story out there, and we are hoping for the best. Thank you, fellas, for being here today.
Okay, so let me just pause this for a second. Come back to you guys. So there's a little bit of it gives you a little bit of background. This is a bit of media. The coverage is definitely very, very tight. There's a lot of news media outlets covering this case. Her fiance / boyfriend, and let me just go quickly and say thank you to the super chats that came in. One came in from Kalita Newbie. She sends in a $5 super sticker, and the other comes in from, let me scroll, Ron Daniels. Thank you so much for the $3 super sticker and all of the support from all the Crime Time with DutyRon family. Here's another report. I just want you guys to look at this. I watched this earlier. This gives you another little depiction of this case. I'm going to show this quickly. Hold on a second. Let me just play this quickly for you, and then we'll come back and chat.
From Northport, the new developments in the case of that missing woman from Northport. Investigators say Gabby Petito's boyfriend right there, who returned home from a cross-country trip without her, is a person of interest in the case. And Fox 13 has obtained a police report from Utah describing a fight between the couple days before she disappeared. Fox 13's Kimberly Quizon joining us live from the Northport Police Department. And boy, there are a lot of people all across the country really just hoping and praying this young girl is somewhere and she'll be found.
Yes, Cynthia, there certainly are. You can say that this has really captured the attention of the world. And the Northport Police Department, along with the FBI, hope all of the reports and social media postings will in fact help. And I want you to take a look at this right here. This is a social media posting, a posting on Twitter from Chief Todd Garrison of the Northport Police Department. Now, Chief down here is very active on Twitter, and he just put out his own plea, calling on Brian Laundrie's family's attorney, Stephen Bertolino, to help find Gabby. He says, quote, "Please call us to arrange a conversation with Brian Laundrie. 2 people left on a trip and 1 person returned." And really tonight, that's all that anybody wants to do. They want to find Gabby Petito. It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
As 22-year-old Gabby Petito and her boyfriend, 23-year-old Brian Laundrie, set out across the country in this van, documenting their trip and experiences. But it's become a mystery, and Northport police want to solve it.
We're doing everything we can to bring her home safely, or potentially hold anybody responsible for hurting her accountable.
Gabby Petito's family last heard from her at the end of August. They believe she was in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. As communication from Gabby went silent, Northport police say Brian Laundrie returned home to Northport without Gabby on September 1st. 10 days later, after being unable to reach her, family members in New York reported her missing.
We are concerned, and we're working as quick as we can.
As Northport police investigate, details from an incident involving the couple in Moab, Utah have been released. On August 12th, a witness reported a domestic problem between parties identified as Gabby and Brian. Brian told officers time spent together on their journey created an emotional strain between the pair and increased their arguments. According to the report, Gabby went into a manic state, fearing he would leave her behind, and slapped him. Officers separated the pair for the night, and no charges were filed. 13 days later, Gabby would go silent, and Brian and his family would lawyer up.
I think we're just pleading with him at this point to please speak with us. We need to understand those details. You know, they put out a release yesterday saying they remain in the background. That is not good enough. We need the details.
Yeah, and the Northport Police Department here is now the lead agency investigating this case along with the FBI. Now, there is a tip line that has been set up to funnel all those tips in from across the country. Phone number.
All right, I'm going to pause that right there. The tip line is 1-800-CALL-FBI, and I will link that down below in the description. We're going to get into some of the conversations that most people have questions, like the question of if he drove the van back, it's registered and insured to Gabby, why wasn't he charged with that? And I'm going to get into that. You just have to stay until the end when I take questions and answers. But there is a legal explanation for that. There's also a legal explanation of why the police can't drag him out of his house and arrest him. I had a long conversation tonight with criminal defense attorney Joe Murray, who's here in the chat and recovering from COVID-19. We'll get into it. We'll talk about it, and I'll explain to you what the rights are under our Constitution for the Fifth Amendment. And that's his amendment that he invoked to remain silent and have an attorney. But we'll get into that. Just give me a chance.
Is right there on your.
So there it is, the tip line, 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's the tip line. Suffolk County Police were originally the agency that was called by the parents. They took the report, but the resident precinct, the resident police department where Gabby and her boyfriend Brian, along with the parents, they live with his parents. She's been living there for 2.5 years. That's who always becomes the lead, is where the person lived. And then they join up with the authorities in Wyoming and or Utah, depending on where they figure out where her last known sighting, and I believe it was in Wyoming. So Wyoming is going to be instrumental in this investigation. The authorities there and the FBI is already processing the van. So let's let the rest of this play, and then we'll get right back
TV
on.
screen, it's 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any tips or you may know where Gabby may be. Cynthia, back to you.
All right, so that's what we got from there. I want to go over the timeline a little bit. Okay, so for those of you who are new joining, Gabby Petito, 22 years old, left Long Island, New York, in Blue Point, which is all the way out in Suffolk County, out east, with her boyfriend Brian Laundrie, aka fiance, 23 years old. They left in their 2012 Ford van that was converted into like a kind of recreational vehicle where they can travel. They wanted to go off the grid. This is something that her mom describes as something both of them were passionate about. And along the way, there was a domestic dispute that was called in by a random person. We're going to pull up that incident report. I believe it was August 12th. Let me make sure. Yes, August 12th, a domestic violence / disorderly person was called in to the Moab Police Department in Utah at around 16:30 hours. That was 4:30 to 6 o'clock. This incident was handled. So the police came onto the scene. Gabby was crying. It was a car stop. She was crying in the passenger seat. The officer pulled her out, interviewed her. She was, as the reporter just mentioned, she was concerned that he was going to leave her. There was a scratch on his face. They were having a little bit of back and forth. She seemed to be have some type of confusion. They deem it some type of mental issue or some type of anxiety of some sort. She was crying uncontrollably. The officers did what they could do, and they separated them. I think they sent the boyfriend Brian to a hotel overnight. She drove off with the vehicle. And then here we are, fast forward September 11th, the mom decided after 8 or 10 days of not being able to get a hold of her daughter, she called the police, made the police report. This scumbag drove home and pulled that van into his house in Northport, Florida on September 1st. You might ask yourself, how do they know he pulled that van in September 1st and came home? Video surveillance, probably from the neighbors or probably from his own, I wouldn't say his own house, but his own block. Somewhere along that area where he lives, the investigators probably pulled out and got information because he's invoking his Fifth Amendment. And everybody is pissed off about that Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent, but it is everybody's right. And unfortunately, he decided to go and get a lawyer. And when the police came to his house, they were met by his father, I believe, and he handed him a business card of the lawyer and said, this is who you can contact if you have any questions. So let me get quickly here to the arrest. That's wishful thinking. Let me get to the police report so you guys can see it. I have it here okay, here it is. All right, let me get this up for you. This is courtesy of EastIdahoNews.com. Thank you to Nate Eaton. Awesome reporter, investigative reporter. So let me put this on the screen for you guys. There we go. Let me know in the chat if you could see this, if this is good enough for you. But if you need me to make it bigger, let me try to do that. How is that, folks? Is that good? Can everybody see that clearly? By putting a 1 in the chat, let me know if you could see this report. Let me know in the chat by just throwing up a 1. If not, I can make it a little bit bigger. I don't want it to get distorted. All right, that's as big as I can make it. Lillian says he needs to open his mouth. I agree. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Shelley. Thanks, Just Doing Me. Victoria, thank you. Ryan Investigative Group, good to see you, Billy. Thanks for joining. Deco Paint and Tea. Black Rose, good to see you. He didn't steal the van. He drove it home. They are both together. Let me just put that up. Hold on a second, because everybody's talking about this. This is like wildfire. Mom of 457 Rose says, Ron, if he stole her van, which he didn't, can't the police officer arrest him on that charge? Thank you. Well, thank you for that question. He didn't steal the van because the van is shared by both of them, and they're engaged. They're living together. So it would be like if I was using my wife's vehicle that's registered to her, and I drove it home. They're a domestic partnership. They're a couple. They're engaged to be married. So there's no crime in that. As much as we want to think it is, it's not a crime that he took the van and drove it home. Perhaps what happened to her or what he may have allegedly done to her is a crime. But it's going to be up to the investigators to figure that one out. All right, so here's the report. It's dated August 11th. Oh, sugar. I said August 12th. Wait, here it is, August 12th. So I was right. So here, I'm going to highlight the date, August 12th, and it says 4:30. I said 16:30, but that was military time, 4:30 to 6:04 p.m. Location is 39 East 100th Street, Moab, Utah. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Is it Moab or? Anyways, you guys get what I'm saying. It was closed on the 18th, and it was the description was disorderly conduct. So disorderly conduct was the offense, and it happened outside or inside a convenience store. And there was a reporter. His first name was Christopher. He was the witness, male Hispanic. And then there's just some of the pedigree. Thank you, Mama, for a 457. Thank you for that super chat. Let me highlight that because that was a very nice message. She says, God bless you, Ron, and thank you. Praying for this beautiful girl and her family. We are all praying for her. It's not looking good right now. I got to tell you, as an investigator, it just doesn't look good. So the Moab Police Department, there's some addresses. There's the van, March 19th, the plate expires. So this is just the pedigree for the van, a white transit van, Ford. And there's her official name. She's the owner. And then here's some of the things. Officers from the police department were dispatched to a report of a domestic problem. Let me highlight this so you guys can see it. To a domestic problem that had taken place near the Moonflower Co-op. It appeared that a male and a female had left the scene traveling north on Main in a white Ford transit van with a black ladder on the rear after the male and female had engaged in some sort of altercation. It wasn't clear, but I believe it was reported that the male had been observed to have assaulted the female. I heard the other officers reportedly say that they were off to look for the vehicle, and being that I had to pass the Moonflower in order to get to Main Street, I stopped there to see if there was any witnesses and if they were still in the area. I found one, identified as Chris so-and-so. I took down his phone number and left the scene because I heard Officer D. Robbins tell dispatch he located the suspect vehicle near a turn at the Arches National Park. I heard him state that upon the initial traffic stop, he'd observed the vehicle leave its lane and strike the curb before nearing the entrance to the park. So this is the police officer's statement. Eric Pratt continues and says, I arrived on the scene and observed two park officers had also arrived. I assisted Officer Robbins and his investigator until I was able to call away to report of an intoxicated male. There was an intoxicated male report posing a safety risk to himself or others. Before leaving, I spoke with the male driver of the van, the female passenger, and also called Chris to get more information. So all three individuals gave me a similar consistent story consisting of basic idea that the driver of the van A male had some sort of argument with the female, Gabby, as I recall her name. The male tried to create distance by telling Gabby to go take a walk and calm down. Um, uh, she didn't want to be separated from the male and began slapping him. He grabbed her face and pushed her back as she was pressed upon him and the van. He tried to lock her out and succeeded, except for his driver's door. She opened it, and that was her way. She forced her way over him and into the vehicle before it drove off. No one reported that the male struck the female. Both the male and the female reported that they are in love and engaged and ready to be married and are desperately didn't want to see anyone charged with a crime. So they both refused to press charges against each other. There were no significant injuries reported, and both agreed that Gabby suffers from serious anxiety, etc., etc. It appeared that this incident was more accurately categorized as a mental emotional health break than a domestic assault. I had to leave, but I understood that Officer Robbins got the mail lodging through the Sikh Haven. That's like a social service, community outreach, probably group. Gabby retained possession of the van, and they agreed to separate for the night. No charges were filed, and no one wished for charges to be filed for the separation to take place. Although that was at minimum what Officer Robbins required in lieu of making a case against Gabby for domestic assault. Gabby is a 22-year-old female who is approximately blah, 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 and they just gave her pedigree, while her fiance is older. He was just 1 year older, taller, and much heavier than her. He had no fear for his safety and did not exhibit any indications that he may be a victim of battered boyfriend syndrome, etc. He was assessed to be at low risk of danger or harm as a result of his proximity to his fiancee Gabby. No further action taken. So these are just the the officer's statement from this incident. Um, we can sit here and pick this apart and argue that if they would have locked her up or locked him up, maybe perhaps we wouldn't be in the position that we're in, but they deemed that there was no charges that needed to be filed based on what they saw in front of them. We can't predict what's going to happen in the future. It's easy for us to go back and Monday morning quarterback this thing and say, well, if they did this, if they did that, but they take each incident on face value of what they have in front of them. They can't predict the future, and that's what happened here. You can always say shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? So this Daniel Scott Robbins this is the officer who pulled him over. He says on August 12th, 2021 at approximately 16:44 hours, that's 4:44, I responded to a possible domestic in progress call. A van with both a male and a female as occupants was reported leaving the area of 39 East 100th Street northbound on Main Street. One of the witnesses described the vehicle as a white Ford Transit van, black ladder on the rear with Florida tags, blah, 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 blah. The witness reported seeing a male later identified as Brian Laundrie and a female later identified as Gabby Petito arguing over a phone. Now, this is significant to me because they're arguing over a phone. Did he take her phone from her? Was he trying to be controlling over her? It's possible. Yes, it's possible, but we don't know. They're not specific. It's just saying arguing over a phone. I have to assume that she was arguing with him over her phone because then what would be to argue about? Maybe she was arguing that he was talking to somebody on her phone. Who knows? I don't know. But Christopher stated that when Brian got into the van, he saw what appeared to be him as Gabriella hitting Brian in the arm and then climbing through the driver's window as if Brian had locked her out of the car and she was trying to find a way in. I located a white van that matched the description on North Main Street at Highway 128 turnoff. After I crossed the bridge, I was able to catch up to the van and turn off to Arches National Park. I confirmed the license plate and initiated a car stop. I followed the vehicle as it continued towards the entrance of the gate of the national park. I noticed that the van traveling approximately 45 miles an hour in a 15-mile-an-hour speed zone. After I activated my lights to initiate the stop, I watched the van cross the double yellow line, dividing line into lane 1, merging to lane 2, and then abruptly swerving to the right. When the vehicle swerved, both of the front and rear passengers' side wheels hit the curb a short distance before the gate, and the vehicle came to a stop. And this is important because this is his observation of what he saw when he approached. As I approached the vehicle, I saw the only occupants being Gabrielle, Gabby, and Brian. Gabby, who was in the passenger seat, was crying uncontrollably. I asked Gabby to get out of the vehicle to speak with me. Gabby told me that she suffers from, and there's a long statement here. So this is whatever syndrome or whatever she's suffering from, with a very small word. And we could guess at this, but I'm not going to guess at it because I'm going to be respectful here. She continued, because of her blank and blank, combined with a little argument she and Brian had been having that day. She was struggling with her mental health, which led to the incident that was reported to law enforcement. Gabrielle, that's Gabby, stated that when they saw my lights, and when they saw the police lights, she hit Brian in the arm to get his attention to stop, which in turn caused him to hit the curb while I was following them. I asked Gabby if her intention was to hurt Brian, and her response was that she did not intend to hurt him, but rather to get his attention to notice me as I was behind them with my lights and sirens on. And at no point in the investigation did Gabby stop crying. So she was crying and breathing heavily the whole time. So she was definitely upset, like big time. She was unable to compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears or wipe her nose or rub her knees with her hands. So she was obviously having a situation. After I sat Gabby in the back seat of my car, I asked Brian to step out of the vehicle to speak with me. He told me they both suffer from blank. And although her blank is more advanced than his, issues between the two had been building over the last few days. This in turn caused them to argue more than usual. Brian told me neither he nor Gabby took medication for their blank. Brian explained he and Gab have been traveling together for the last 4 or 5 months. Now this is to me a lie right here. They were only traveling a month at that point, because this is August 13th, August 12th. They left Long Island. They left Gabby's mom's house. They left July 2nd. So July 2nd to August 13th is just a little bit over a month. Grace Green, I'm not going to, Bella, whoever said anxiety or bipolar, I don't know. I'm not going to guess at it. I don't think right now is the time for us to guess at it. But right here, he told the officer they were traveling together for 4 or 5 months. Now that's an outright lie, because it's only been just a little bit over a month. So why he would say 4 or 5 months, I don't know. He said he further goes on to say, Brian says that the time spent time together created emotional strain between them and increased the number of arguments. While arguing near Main Street, he had attempted to separate from her, and so they could both calm their emotions down. He got into their van, and Gabby had gone into a manic state. Brian said Gabrielle, thinking he was going to leave her in Moab without a ride, went to slap him. As Gabby started to swing, Brian pushed her away to avoid the slap. As a result, Gabby got knocked off balance, but still caught Brian's face with some fingers, causing some minor visible scratches. Now, whether this is the accurate story, this is what he's telling them. And remember, this is the same Brian that is now being silent with the police. So I don't buy this story. He had those scratches perhaps on his face because of not just that incident, maybe prior incidents as well. So I don't buy this one bit, and this is just me talking. Brian continued that when he had seen my lights, he thought Gabrielle had grabbed the wheel of the van and pulled it, causing the van to hit the curb. So he's throwing her under the bus and saying that she grabbed the wheel, and that's why the car swayed into the curb. I tend to believe what she told the officers, that she hit him like, hey, we're getting pulled over, and he jerked the wheel and hit the curb. I observed some small scratches to Brian's right arm, and when I asked him about them, he supposed they must have happened when Gab was trying to get his attention. Now, if you're just smacking or just going to hit somebody in the arm, chances are you're not going to scratch them. Those might have been defensive wounds from fights, that they've had before this police officer came. And I'm thinking just as a cop here. This is me thinking as a 20-year NYPD veteran. I asked him about them. He supposed that they must have happened from Gab when she tried to get his attention. That's bullshit. However, he was not consistent with Gab's statement, further suggesting her confused and emotional state. So this officer is drawing the conclusion that this guy was right and that she was confused. I don't know. That's what I take from this. It could be wrong, but I don't like that last sentence. This, however, was not consistent with Gabrielle's statement, further suggesting her confused and emotional state. I don't know. After evaluating the totality of the circumstances, I do not believe the situation escalated to the level of domestic assault as much as that of a mental health crisis. I wonder, here in New York, if someone was having a mental health crisis, we would call EMS, an ambulance, and have them evaluated, have their mental health evaluated at the hospital. But they didn't do that. They let her drive off and they let him stay at a hotel. So again, I'm kind of Monday morning quarterbacking a little bit here, but so they're concluding that this was more of a mental health crisis, but they let her just drive away in the car. I then determined the most appropriate course of action would be to help separate the parties for the night so they could rest, so they could reset their mental states without interfering from one another. And although they did express a desire to remain together, they both ultimately agreed to be separated until the following day. Accordingly, I was able to contact Safe Haven and get Brian a hotel room for the night. I instructed both Brian and Gabrielle to take advantage of this time apart to relax their emotions and regain control of their anxiety. I also asked them to avoid contact with each other until the next morning, if at all possible. Gabrielle maintained possession of the van while I transported Brian to the hotel. So he got a free ride in the police car to the hotel. They did both have their own cell phones in case of emergency. Around 1900 hours, at 7 o'clock, I went to such and such where witness Christopher so-and-so lived, and I had him fill out a statement form. Christopher told me that he was not entirely sure what it is that he had seen, but feared the worst, which is why he came forward as a witness and agreed to complete the written statement. Body cam video is available on evidence.com. I wonder if that's available. I wonder if we could see that. Anybody see that body cam evidence, the body cam police video on evidence.com? Has anybody seen that? Bueller? Anybody? All right, so that's the end of the report. I don't know. Am I a little off with that report? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments section below. But I think that if I felt someone was having a mental health crisis as a police officer, and I don't know, is Lieutenant Pranzo or any of my police retired friends here, as a mental health crisis or an issue, us as police officers, we're supposed to basically call an ambulance and get them some mental health, either counseling or emergency help at the local emergency local emergency room. if in fact they thought about it a little bit more, and now again they didn't have the knowledge that this young lady would have gone missing shortly thereafter. We don't have a crystal ball as police officers, but you got to go with what's in front of you. And I feel had they sent, because she was uncontrollable. It says in that report that she didn't stop crying, she couldn't catch her breath, and she was fidgety the whole time. I mean, they could have got an ambulance to the scene and did a field assessment on her mental health. That's one thing that I see here. So if they're writing on paper, so there's Phil Grimaldi. Thanks for joining, Phil. There he is from Police Off the Cuff, good friend of the show, retired NYPD detective. She should have been given an evaluation based on that report. That is textbook in New York. I know, yeah, that's why I said that before. Joe Murray is here chiming in. You cannot force people otherwise to be treated. No, I wasn't saying forceful, but if we as police officers feel that somebody's a danger to themselves or other, and you can articulate that, then it's a must go to the hospital. So again, this is a bit of Monday morning quarterbacking going on, but it is what it is. Let me show you guys the Twitter account for the Northport Police Department. I think this is important to show this as well. I'm going to go full screen with this. And yeah, I mean, we can agree to disagree, but let me show you. This is the Twitter account, and the Chief Todd Garrison sends out a message. He's an active tweeter, and he sent out this message today. I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it. Let's see if I can get this up. Okay. Maybe this is not the one that I was looking for. Where did it go? Of course, I had it. I had it in the hopper, and now I can't find it. Sugar plums. Let me go to his Twitter. Suffolk County PD chiming in, but I thought that there was a message that they sent out to Brian Laundrie's attorney, telling him to come forward. Basically, the police chief said, "Listen, we want to talk to you, and we want to find out what happened." 2 people went out on a vacation to go across country, and only one came back. And he's right, like, hey, listen, if you don't have anything to hide, I get that you want to hire an attorney, but if you have nothing to hide, tell your story. Tell whatever story you're going to tell, but don't be quiet. This is somebody who you allegedly loved, and I'm going to show their YouTube channel. I'm not going to play the audio from it because there's copyright music on it, but I'm going to play it silently so you guys can look at their YouTube channel. So I'll play this. This is Gabby and Brian's YouTube channel. It's kind of sickening to see it now, knowing that she's missing. I'm going to try to play some of the parts where there's no music, but there's music in there. It's just, they seem like they were so in love, and it just is so, something went so wrong so quick. Yeah, I'm going to talk more about this in future live streams, but right now, just want to get their name and their faces out there, her face is out there, and let people see this. So this is on their YouTube page, and it's entitled "Our Van Life." There's a part of this that the music stops, and then I'll play it. She's in the tent, and it's raining, but I mean, look at how happy they look. She's on the beach and at the water, and it's just a goddamn shame. It all just seems very troubling to me because, we now know that she's missing, and we don't know what happened to her. And, seeing this, it's just, I don't know, just a bad vibe. But, you got to hope and pray for the best. It's just the way this guy's acting is just, it definitely not something that's indicative of somebody who loves their fiance or their significant other. This is some drone footage that he bought a drone and
I think our plan for today is to just hang out here in the tent. Brian's stretching, doing some morning yoga. That's cool.
That worked out well.
Alright. So I'm gonna make some yogurt.
just seems so natural that they were just doing everything and everything was honky dory. You would think that everything is perfect here, and everything was far from perfect. So
All the chocolate melted.
I know, it's a river of chocolate. Be cautious.
You can't keep chocolate in Utah. Not in July. Or in a clear plastic container.
so in July. So this was earlier on in the trip.
I was in the tent this morning, I think that's why.
It's just such a goddamn shame. as a parent and as a retired detective, I look at this both ways.
The van.
I would say to myself that this is something that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy.
Yeah, free dispersed camp spot. And we've been lucky so far. Right outside Capitol Reef right now in a free dispersed camp spot. And we've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed. I'd say this is one of the best so far. Since we left New York, I've only set up my hammock once. And now we're all the way in Utah. And luckily enough, I was able to set up my hammock in one of these trees.
And we're kind of like in the desert.
Very few trees.
Anyways, guys, I think that's all I got for you. Again, I'm going to link the FBI tip line. The police spokesman. I want to play that, but I know that's going to get a lot of people uptight. I watched it today live, and I promised you guys we would talk a little bit about why he wasn't brought in and questioned. No, why wasn't he ripped out of his house and questioned? But let me just see if I have that, because I think I did save it. Hold on a second. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Let's see if we can get that press conference, because it's short. The reporters asked a lot of questions. Yeah, I did, Kerry. I did hear about it, but until right now we're in the infancy stages of this investigation. So, yeah, that is out there, and it is on the table, something to consider. I want to show this. The hell is it? Okay, I think I found it. Hold on a second. I hate when I save something and it gets buried in. I save too much stuff. I think this is it. Oh, okay, here it is. Oh well. I don't think I have it. I thought I did. Anyways, we all saw it. We watched it. I mean, for those of you who are here, you saw it. He basically said that he, through his lawyer, invoked his amendment, his right to remain silent, and that's an unfortunate thing because, everyone would think that if he had good intentions, okay, hire the attorney, let the attorney represent you so you don't incriminate yourself, but tell everybody where the last time you saw her. Even if you're going to whatever you're going to say, most people aren't going to believe it. But like there was a comment out there that said, "Damned if you do and damned if you don't." Well, guess what? You came home on the 1st of September. If her parents didn't report her missing on September 11th, this Saturday that just passed, when were you going to come forward? You weren't. You weren't going to come forward. So that's the screwy part. That's the crazy part. And, for me, I got big problems with that. And by a show of hands in the chat, I mean, how many of you folks here have a big problem with that? I mean, we should all have a tremendous problem with that. You know, it's just ridiculous. You know. don't give up easy. All right, here it is. All right, folks, I got it for you. DutyRon to the rescue.
The press release, I think it did have some additional details in there that we haven't talked about before. Anybody who may have seen
Let me know if the
Gabby or
volume's
the
okay.
vehicle, which we've sent the photos today, we're doing everything we can to bring her home safely, or potentially hold anybody responsible.
Let me know in the
for
chat
holding her
by a 1 if the
accountable.
volume's good.
So I know that the press release, I think it did have some additional details in there that we haven't talked about before. So I think most of it was self-explanatory. However, I'm certain that you guys have some questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. So I'll go ahead and let you do that.
What decided to, why is he a person of interest today and not yesterday?
Well, yesterday we were not the lead agency in this case. So, as things have evolved, I think we're now at a comfortable level. I think there are things that we know in this investigation that we're trying not to release. I know you guys are all doing your best to get some of that info. But we really think for the integrity of this investigation that it's important that we not release everything we know when we know it.
And what's the reason for naming him? Why did you guys take over as lead agency?
It just made more sense. The family, first of all, the agency in Suffolk County has been fantastic. No issues there. This was just a situation where that happened to be where the family reported Gabby missing, and the fact that the van is here and both of these people that are surrounded in this case are Northport residents, so it just made more sense. We definitely processed that vehicle yesterday with the FBI. Certainly.
Okay, so he's saying the FBI processed the van. They took the vehicle and processed it. So the FBI is going to do all types of forensics on it, all kinds of cell phone records and cell tower pings, if there were any cell tower pings, all kinds of iPhone, iCloud stuff. Anything that's in the cloud is going to get looked at. I mean, there's going to be a tremendous amount of computer forensics. I saw some tablets. I saw an iPad. I saw a bunch of stuff. In the videos. So, what about the possibility of tampering with evidence charge? Tina, thank you for the super chat. They need to get evidence first and then prove that he tampered with it. So right now, there's nothing that they can charge him with that we know about. We don't have the access to the case file. We don't know what they've got. But this investigation started September 11th. As we were all mourning the 20th year mark of the attack on our country, this family, Mom Nicole Schmidt was reporting her daughter missing to the Suffolk County Police Department. So this investigation is all of 5 days old. So it started Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. So it's 4 days going on 5 days old. So the wheels of justice are going right now. So all of the investigative steps are happening, and they're happening now. They're gathering as much evidence and electronic forensics it's in high speed. They're in high power and high speed. Thank you, Wendy, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Wendy Gonzalez. Thank you. All right, let's let the rest of this play.
There was some material in there that we'll be going through. I don't know that we're at a situation of releasing all of those details.
As time goes on, Gabby's well-being.
I think everybody in this country apparently is concerned for Gabby's well-being. We certainly have had an abundance of media attention from across this country, every major news network. I mean, it's not too often we have 15, 20 cameras and reporters sitting out in front of the Northport Police Department. So, yes, I think the answer is we are concerned, and we're working as quick as we can to get a resolution to that.
Josh, how concerning is it knowing that there were 10 days
Yeah, I think we can all make come up with an idea of what that means. I don't know that we're at the point of solidifying anything. We don't know what Brian knows. I mean, that's the bottom line. And we're hopeful to talk to him. He needs to talk to us. We need to know exactly where he was, where she was, their last locations. And the fact that he was back here for 10 days, there was, again, the family reported her missing 10 days later.
Do you know exactly where they're at?
Let's spread it around. Yes.
Status on a search warrant of the home?
There is currently no search warrant on the home of Brian's parents.
Where was the car found? Was it at his house, her house?
Correct. The vehicle was found at Brian's parents' home where Brian and Gabby reside.
Do you know where Brian is?
I don't know. It's minute by minute. At the moment, no, I do not.
And Josh, why was he named a person of interest? Why did you come to that conclusion?
I think most people would come to that conclusion in this case. He was the last known person that we have information was around her. How you define person of interest is up to you, but certainly we are interested in talking with him.
What does not cooperating look like?
Grace Green, thank you for the $20 super chat. He is a person of interest now. Brian Laundrie is a person of interest. And, right now it's too early to say. Someone asked, Ron, do you think she's still alive? I hope that she's still alive. I pray. That was Aaron Gemini asked that question. Again, you hope and pray. You got to hold on to hope. It just doesn't seem like it's good because her mom, Nicole Schmidt, says that she communicated with her daughter on a regular basis, and they haven't heard from her now in a long time. So I believe the last communication with, or actually her seeing her, was August 24th on FaceTime. And the last text message was August 30th, and the mom, Nicole, said herself, we're not even sure if that text message came from her. And it just said, in Yosemite's bad cell coverage or bad connection. So mom was alluding to perhaps it was Brian sending the messages with Gabby's phone. And I don't even know if they recovered her phone. I would imagine that as he drove back from Wyoming to Northport, Florida, probably winged her phone out the window. I mean, that's just my thought. And who knows if we'll ever find it. He could have thrown it off a bridge into water, and then you'll never recover it. But hopefully there's an iCloud backup and she used an iPhone, or if it was Android, it was on Google Cloud, Google, a Google Drive or something. So we hope, So again, let's listen to just a little bit more of this and I'll wrap it up.
The time, who's gone? You've gone.
What does the non-cooperating look like? What is he?
Okay, so here's the situation that happened. We went to the door Saturday night. We asked to speak with Brian and his family, and we were essentially handed the information for their attorney. That is the extent of our conversation with them. It's my understanding we have had some conversations with his attorney, but certainly nothing to the level of providing us the details that we would like.
How are you planning on getting those details?
Well, look, we all have rights in this country. We all have the Fifth Amendment right.
Right here, he talks about the
we're
Fifth
hoping
Amendment here now. He talks about the right to remain silent, the right to counsel. He invoked his Fifth Amendment. And once someone says, I have an attorney, then unless you have probable cause to make a lawful arrest, then all bets are off. So they need probable cause. And until they have probable cause that a crime was committed, then I asked Joe Murray this question. And Joe Murray, I wish I had him on here with me, even just audio. I wish Joe would join with audio. Joe Murray says, correct. He can remain silent until they come up with probable cause, or if they call him in for a lineup, if there's someone who witnessed him dragging this woman off, this young girl, or doing something to her, and they put him in a lineup and to get picked out of a lineup. But once he's lawyered up and invokes his Fifth Amendment, which is constitutionally protects all of us Americans in the United States, then he can remain silent, which is unfortunate. We do not know anything about Gabby's mental health other than what I just read in the police report. You can go over and look at the police report online, and you can see what the officer stated about her mental health. He said it wasn't, she wasn't having a good time that day. She was struggling. And even after they established probable cause, he can never be compelled to testify. So there you go. But they can put the handcuffs on him and effect the lawful arrest if they have probable cause to believe that he committed a crime, and then he could still remain silent. He has the right to remain silent. That's one of your rights. So, again, it is what it is. And right now, I think the main focus is her stepdad, James Schmidt, is in Wyoming, and to try to find her and try to bring her home. Try to either find her alive or find her remains and bring her home and do whatever investigative steps need to take place here. So, again, this is a difficult at best situation. This is not an ideal situation, but let's listen. This is now a police department spokesman. I don't know what his rank is, but this isn't the chief of police. This isn't the investigator. A lot of people were cursing this guy out. He's the public information officer. He's not investigating the case. So just let me make that clear. So today, when I saw this, the comments that were coming through on Facebook were nasty, and everybody was just angry, and they were letting this guy have it. But he's not an investigator. He's a public information officer, and he's there to conduct a press conference. And everybody was like, "Do your job. Go and arrest this guy." You know, blah 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 blah. And I understand the frustration, but it's not fair to this guy. Hello, Dr. Sexy. Good
That people just do the right thing.
What do we know about the details in Utah of this alleged
Rights in this. Well, look, we all have rights in this country. We all have the Fifth Amendment right. You know, we're hoping that people just do the right thing.
What do we know about the details in Utah of this alleged response from the Moab Police Department?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of information on that. I know that there was an incident in Utah prior to this. You know, that could potentially be some information we'll have later today.
Who called the cops?
Again, I don't know.
Another incident in Utah where 2 women were killed that were also living in. Are we possibly talking about
I've heard that theory. I am unaware of us linking that at this point to that.
And what extensive information has the lawyer provided to you?
I don't have those details.
Josh, yesterday you said you guys were sifting through data.
All right, I think that was enough. I think that's enough. So if you guys want to go over and watch that, you could watch it on Facebook. Again, so here we go. You know, another missing person case. This fiance boyfriend Brian Laundrie is he stinks to high heavens. He is emulating guilt in everything that he's doing. Okay, because if he was innocent and had nothing to do with it, and she ran off, let's just say she had another manic episode or anxiety and she was freaking out and just ran away. Wouldn't you think if the guy really was in love with her and wanted to be her husband, that he would have called 911 right there on the scene and said, "Hey, my girlfriend just ran off and she's in a panic and she's freaking out. She's having an episode," as he said, an episode. But he didn't do that. He got in that van and drove all the way to Florida, back to Northport, Florida in Sarasota County. But not only did he drive all the way home, he didn't say shit. He didn't call the police when he got home. He didn't call her parents. He didn't tell his father. Well, he damn sure did tell his father because his father made him lawyer up. Now, I don't know about his background. I don't know what his job is. I don't know what her job was. I don't know her background. But I know this is at 22 and 23 years old to get up and just drive across the country. It's not cheap to do that. You got to pay for gas. You got, incidentals. So I don't know if these two were working, and I don't think that's even relevant here. But his father, to add insult to injury, his parents advised their own child, their own flesh and blood, who's a grown man, to not say anything. Now, how fucked up is that? So that's all I got to say about this. You have Gabby's mom, Nicole, and her stepdad, James, and her father, Joe. These people, these fathers and mothers are distraught. And the rest of her family, she's got siblings. There's siblings there. And this half-ass piece of crap decides that he wants to shut his mouth and sit back and just let this all unfold and watch everybody scurry. It doesn't work that way. What comes around goes around. And I hope that the long arm of the law reaches out and grabs this piece of shit and brings him to justice. And I'm confident that the FBI and the local authorities working together will find out what happened to Gabby Petito. And they will bring him to justice. And I'm saying him because I don't even want to say his name, but they will bring her fiance to justice, her boyfriend. Because nobody deserves this. Nobody deserves to be discarded and just forgotten. And I know her stepdad is there to represent the family, and I'm here to represent the YouTube true crime community and our online footprint to keep her name out there. I will link in the description Northport Police Department, the Suffolk County Police Department, the FBI, and any departments that get added into this investigation. And if you know something, not a dream, not a premonition, but if you know something, if there's somebody out there that knows something or saw something that transpired between these two, please come forward and tell law enforcement. You could do it anonymously, but call with credible, valid information. Help these people out. Help them find out what happened to Gabby, to their daughter. So as I like to end all of these live streams, and I will continue to do updates on this case, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, and all victims of crime and their families across the globe, but especially tonight, Gabby Petito, her family, her mom, Nicole, her dad, stepdad, James, and her stepfather, Joe, and her biological dad, Joe. Give them, God, please give them strength and hugs and positive vibes, and give them the strength to go forward and find their daughter, bring her home. All right, good night from New York City, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Thank you for joining. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe to this channel. Peace from New York.